Saying right now that so what does the center do? One of the things that they're investing heavily in are workshops, seminars, conferences, and when I say this, we're talking like chairs under a tree.
Well, like
Would be a conference. Yeah, exactly. So we're not talking like grand, and it's with the workers, it's with the people, to raise awareness and conscientize them that here on paper these are your rights, these are your human rights, and to break this notion, this concept that that degrading work or what you're doing right now is natural. To break this kind of this model, this unnatural model, and so that's one of the emphasis or lines of the center's work. Subsidizes the other half of their work, which is to receive testimonies, sign testimonies to put in process to start the wheels of justice. And so the center has the legal services with lawyers who know how to fill out the right paperwork. So they receive farmers, usually in cases in the dead of night where no one sees them, because there's a huge thing about, since, like I said, it's just a small town, a lot of the farmers are afraid to even be seen with this group. Because if you're seen walking around with this group, you're identified as a potential, you're squealing, you're a traitor, etc. And there's been instances of farmers, of laborers who've been killed just for that in this area. So, like I said, so this constant, this kind of conscious, awareness raising, is to break this fear, to show examples where the center has success, and encourage more farmers to step up, to confide, to trust in the center and the services, and that there are results. That's not just in vain. That we're not just filling out paperwork, but that the paperwork that we fill out is then sent to. There's the group Movimento, the federal marshals who do the investigation, and there's the labor delegation, DRTs, DFPs. And those also are defenders. They're federal agencies that defend legally and what's the other one? Judicially? Legally defend the rights of workers. So they have no judicial power. They are basically filling a need. They are a gap between workers and the public powers. So they act as a conduit. Because this all has to be registered and also go through formal channels, legal channels. They had an office here until last month, where they had to close it down because the person that was working there was receiving death threats. He was receiving phone calls saying, "Hey, you don't know who you're messing with here. Better stop what you're doing. You're putting your family at risk." He had pistoleros, these kind of hired thugs, hanging out in front of his house, intimidating his wife and kids. There were people who were asking questions about going into his wife's place of work and asking questions about her and just trying to find out. So they had to take this person out, and this person and his family is now in Araguaína working at the center there in another role, in another administrative support capacity. But
vai embora, né? No final da tarde passa 2 dias aqui, mas vai embora, né? Mas sempre existe a questão do perigo, né? Isso não é uma coisa descartável. Mas a gente está aí para trabalhar.
She said it's a little easier. She's like, there's always a risk. There's always a factor of danger. It's like, but we usually come for 2 days. We do our officing, our workshops, our seminars, our meetings with the workers, and it's not enough time for them to organize. But she's like, you always come in here with a little kind of apprehension, a little knowing that's a very hostile area to the work that they're doing.
E pro Xavier também, lá da CPT, pro Xavier.
So they did conduct, the federal police came in here, conducted federal investigations. They imprisoned a couple of people, said they got kind of like some of the smaller fish. And there was a kind of syndicate of farmers that were all involved in this kind of thug group, this intimidation group. They got some of the minor ones, after they left, and those court, and they were put in prison. Like I said, some of these other minor thugs. He said that the threats became more intense, and he said there was a spike in actually dead workers. There were workers that had come back from Pará, and he said the explanation when they arrived here, when the guys arrived, was a tree fell on top of them. He said, which was their blatant lies. He said until they had the audacity one time, a worker arrived with a bullet in his forehead. They said that it was a tree that killed him. And so it was exactly this period where it was, so not only Salvando, but it was people, anyone connected. So, and the also here was Edmundo. So Edmundo was not, although he didn't even live here, he was living in Araguaína, he was receiving death threats. Xavier was, anyone connected to CPT was receiving death threats. Because
amanhã vocês vão conversar com ele.
Xavier.
Pode ser junto com o Reno também, fazer uma reunião com eles dois e a família amanhã.
And so just that the reaction was of the fazendeiros was not just of the people working, but anyone connected with who they were working. So it became, like I said, more intense.
Aí desses fazendeiros que
Basically had a certain level of absolute impunity. All right, if I can remember the story correctly, he was caught. He was put in prison in Marabá. Marabá fica onde? In Pará.
Pará.
He was put in prison in Pará. And a month later, he walked to the front door and escaped. He was put in prison again. He was found in Fortaleza. He was put in prison there. He escaped. He was in another prison. Escaped. He was retried. The judge found him not innocent. He was not guilty. Yeah. So he's let go. The federal justice system refused, or wanted a retry. So he's tried, found guilty. He took off. To this day, everyone knows where he lives in Pará, but no one will go and get him.
Aqui nós